I'd like to introduce Microdesk. We are an AECO industry consulting firm established in 1994 with 13 locations in the United States and the United Kingdom. And there are over 160 AECO consultants like myself and software developers that work for us. And we're also a Autodesk Platinum Partner and IBM Business Partner. We provide consulting services focused on building information modeling, enterprise strategy workflow assessments, information technology mentoring and support, as well as application development. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Gregory. I'm an AECO Strategic Implementation Manager. I am Autodesk Revit MEP Certified Professional, and I'm a BIM and Cloud Technology Expert. A little bit about the project I'm currently working on. I'm currently doing construction coordination on the New York City MTA Long Island Railroad East Side Access Project, where my role is to be a BIM coordinator for the electrical contractor. So a little bit about the webinar for today. We're going to be covering what it means for contractors to do construction coordination with BIM, why use BIM for coordination, what software do we use for coordination for construction, and then we'll dig into the BIM coordination process. I'll talk a little bit about the old workflows that we used to use, some of these new workflows that are available now, and I'll go into a little bit of detail on this new Navisworks integration into Revit and a little bit into BIM 360 model coordination. So what does it mean for contractors to do construction coordination with BIM? It means the contractors participate in an iterative process to plan construction and resolve issues before starting the work in the field. It's a cycle, and the process has a number of steps, and I'm going to go into great detail with the workflows in a few slides. So more about the BIM coordination process. The first thing we want to see on a BIM coordination project is a BEP, or a BIM execution plan. That BEP will clearly outline what is expected during the project, what level of detail. A lot of things I'm about to discuss will be clearly defined and why we need them for that particular project, and that would be fully detailed in a good BIM execution plan. So let's talk about some of the things that we need to determine and identify when working on a coordination project. We need to identify the project's coordination areas. So we typically divide a building up into subsets or small tiles or smaller areas of the building, smaller chunks, often along like logical and natural divides within the geometry of the building. We need to determine what will be included for coordination, like what types of equipment and what systems. We need to determine the required level of detail of those elements in the model. We need to set the coordinate system, and then we need to go ahead and create the coordination models. We need to model the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical. We need to merge these models, analyze the clashes, then report and assign responsibility to resolve those clashes, then go back and update the models, and then go back and check again, and that's where it's an iterative process where we have to cycle back around until we resolve all the clashes. And finally, we sign off a record model, and we use that in the shop drawing process. And it's important to note now that our models are being used in the field. Construction teams are using iPads out in the field and getting a greater understanding of what was coordinated, what was intended, when the coordination process was completed. So why use BIM for coordination process? Well, I've simplified it here to just a few points. When contractors do the pre-construction coordination process with building information models, they save time and money. They reduce the delays in the field for predictable design issues that could be resolved in the construction coordination process. It allows contractors to plan for smarter construction. You can really dig into the project before you're out there and do a much more thorough level of planning. It also allows contractors to do prefabrication, and this is becoming extremely popular. We're seeing a lot of electrical contractors do their prefab and then truck it on site and just put the big pieces together. We're also seeing the same thing with many mechanical contractors, prefabbing and delivering to the site and then putting the big pieces together. So this reduces the at-fault work, or rework, I mean, in the field because we're resolving all these coordination issues, and long as everyone follows the construction coordination design in the field, everything goes smoothly. And this BIM coordination process also improves the shop drawing process. You're no longer just taking the CAD from design and only analyzing it in 2D. You're getting that fully coordinated 3D model to then produce the shop drawings from. So I want to talk about what software is used to coordinate for construction. And primarily what we're seeing is the Autodesk AEC Collection and BIM 360. And recently Autodesk changed how software is provided and how it's grouped into a collection, and also they've come out with a next generation version of BIM 360. So I'm going to touch on a little bit on that, as many people are not familiar with the new organization of both of these. So I will be talking about Revit, Navisworks, and BIM 360, the next generation. So what is the AEC Collection? So Autodesk Architecture, Engineering, and Construction Collection includes a lot of software. So I'm just going to highlight a few programs that we use in the construction coordination process. So for coordination, we use Revit, we use Navisworks Manage, we use Recap Pro or Reality Capture Pro, and also Fabrication MEP in some situations. The collection includes all the software listed here, and it also includes all AutoCAD verticals. So you have AutoCAD, AutoCAD MEP, AutoCAD Civil 3D, Plant 3D. They're all included in the AEC Collection. Oh, I wanted to touch on Revit Live. I put that in there. Revit Live is included with the AEC Collection, and not many people are aware of what that is yet. It's a new feature, a new program that they've added to Revit, which allows you to bring your Revit model easily into a VR environment. So there are construction companies currently using virtual reality headsets, and you can quickly get your Revit model onto headsets using the Revit Live program. So you can quickly get the model into the virtual reality headset and demo it for the client. So next generation BIM 360 is here. They're they've changed the branding a little bit. You're going to hear the terms BIM 360 Design and BIM 360 Build, as well as BIM 360 Operate. But I'm just going to talk about Design and Build today. So just generally, what is BIM 360? It was all these different modules, and they've brought it together into one platform. So we can now think of it more as what are the tasks that you would use BIM 360 for. So we can bring in our reality captures and share them with the team. We can do cost management, field management, estimating, scheduling takeoffs, design checks. All these types of tasks are handled through BIM 360. So a little bit more on BIM 360 Design and Build, and I want to focus on what's relevant to construction coordination. So we've been using, or the industry has been using, collaboration for Revit for a short period of time now, and it's really grown, and the adoption is growing very rapidly for a good reason, because collaboration for Revit has allowed multi-user collaboration in a Revit project from anywhere with internet connection. So if you have a distributed team or in different offices, you have a job trailer, you have a main office, or if you need to coordinate and collaborate with other trades that are in different offices, you could share a Revit project, and you could all work in that same collaboration for Revit project. I want to note that collaboration for Revit is moving its platform. So it was based on the BIM 360 team platform, and they are moving it to be based on the BIM 360 document management platform. So that means that the information will no longer be siloed from the other applications like Field. They are bringing everything over to BIM 360 Docs. Now, a little bit more about BIM 360 document management. It's a new central data platform for all of BIM 360, so it's a single location for document management and sharing. And this is really a great improvement. So in BIM 360, there's also a model coordination module, and it provides an automated clash matrix and issue management once you're looking at the clashes, assigning clashes to individuals and such. I'm going to show you that in a web interface in a little bit. Also, there's a new BIM 360 feature, design collaboration, and this allows you to aggregate 3D models. They don't all have to be Revit, and you can bring them into design collaboration. You can track changes visually, and I have a few screenshots of that to share with you. Really powerful for seeing how the model has changed over time. So this is a slide from Autodesk that it simplifies BIM 360 into design, pre-construction. That would be the coordination phase that I'm focusing on today, as well as the field execution. So people are familiar with the field program. That would be where that falls in, and then building ops would be handover and operations, commissioning, handover, and maintenance. What I want to note here is that BIM 360 is providing analytics and insight into design performance. It's centralizing all of the data in our projects by putting it in one place, BIM 360 Docs. And then it's providing integration with other software through the Autodesk Forge platform. And there's some really exciting stuff going on with Forge. I wish I had time to go through that today, but we're going to focus on construction coordination today. So what they've done is they've shifted the project execution with connected BIM. So once we put everything in the same spot and we pass it from designer to engineer, contractor, and owner, we have this concept of connected BIM. We're no longer losing information during these transmits between the different stages of a project, and we have a much better execution as a result. So collaboration is still a challenge, even with all of the technology we have coming out. It's a challenge to manage the information, but the technology is getting much better and is becoming much more efficient. So that brings me to talking about kind of the old way we would do coordination. We would use FTP or SharePoint servers, network drives, or basic cloud storage, or specific point cloud solutions. These were not really designed for what we wanted to use them for in the construction coordination process. Often it was expensive. It required IT to set up the servers. If you were doing it yourself, you had access issues, so sharing it across different offices or different companies. It really wasn't designed for the AEC industry. So I'm going to talk about the workflow of a typical coordination project. Here with this chart here, we have typical coordination week. So if we were to upload our coordination project on the end of the day on Friday, the general contractor, the VDC department would get all of the different NWC models that everyone exported from Revit, and they would go ahead and run a clash test and create a report. And while that's going on, people are working off of old model information. So it's not until everything is transmitted and up on whatever file sharing platform was used by that contractor, that general contractor, would everyone be able to then download their updated, all the different trades updated models and then update their links. So it's a complicated process that I'll talk about how these problems are solved in a moment. But then if we uploaded on Friday, Monday was the general contractor's time to run clash tests and analyze the model, create a report, and for the meeting that would be held on Tuesday. So that primary objective of the coordination meeting would be to negotiate the resolution of these clashes and assign the responsibilities. Then everyone can download each other's updated models, update their links in the software that they're using to do their VDC or construction coordination modeling, and then start making the changes that were directed from the coordination meeting. The updates would continually be siloed throughout the cycle until the next download after the meeting. So you can see that on Wednesday, when they're updating the model to resolve clashes, they're moving objects, but the other teams are not seeing those objects move in their model. So when you come to Thursday, everybody's moved stuff, but nobody can see what other people have done so far. And then by the time you get to Friday, you're practically working blind or just waiting to see where other people moved. Often you get into a situation where two different teams, such as the plumbing and HVAC modelers, need to move objects or move pipes or ducts. They both need to move, but they move, but then don't know where the other one is until the next coordination meeting. So this is that old workflow before C4R and BIM 360, and it was a weekly process, and if meetings were 2 weeks, it could be drawn out even greater than that. So let's dive a little more into the workflow of this process. So the VDC modeling would happen in AutoCAD or Revit. Here I have the HVAC mechanical contractor working in AutoCAD MEP, and everyone else is working in Revit. That still works. You can export everything out to NWC and merge those into a Navisworks NWD file. Then general contractor typically, or whoever's leading the coordination process, that could also be sometimes the mechanical contractor will take the lead. Well, whoever's taking the lead will analyze, do analysis and a report. Again, looking for clashes. If there are clashes, document them. And then in the meeting, assign those clashes, negotiate the resolution, and then start the process over again. Return to that VDC modeling phase, update the model, export to NWC, merge to NWD, and the cycle just repeats. So that was the old cycle, and that typically happened over the course of a week. But the way technology has changed with the software we're seeing with Collaboration for Revit and BIM 360 is we're seeing a controlled work sharing dynamic. So BIM 360 Docs is giving the ability for a central file location, but also allow you to control the ability to package and then share your information. So you can publish when you're ready. You don't have to publish. It doesn't have to be live. When you're in C4R, everything you do is live. Everyone else can see that. But they're adding the ability to publish and control who sees what in your progress. So if you don't want everyone to see every little move you make, and then just you get to a completion point where the design is thoroughly thought through, and then you can package and share. So here we just have all the different contractors here working in Revit, and then using BIM 360 plugins and uploading to BIM 360 docs. And everyone's following that iterative design review process. And what's important here that I'll point out in the next slide is that the process doesn't require the weekly meeting anymore. So let's dive into that. So this is the new BIM 360 coordination workflow. So VDC models can be hosted on BIM 360, and you can use the design collaboration tools as well as the model coordination tools to see in real time and collaborate between other contractors. So this would be using the C4R or the Collaboration for Revit technology to have live linked Revit models, so that when other trades do work or make changes, you can see that in your model immediately. It doesn't require there to be a upload and then download and then updating the links. So VDC modelers can see other trades in Revit as they work. And that's by using Revit links and Navisworks links. And I'm going to touch on the Navisworks links in a couple of slides, but a little bit about that now. Say the mechanical contractor was working in AutoCAD MEP. They can export their file to NWC, and then you can actually link Navisworks files into the latest versions of Revit now. That was a feature that was added in Revit 2018. The BIM 360 model coordination process has also been automated. Now BIM 360 model coordination has this matrix, which I'll show you once we get into the web browser. And it's very powerful. It automates the clash report process and and really breaks it down against models against each other so you can quickly find the clashes that you're interested in resolving. You also can use the BIM 360 platform to assign clashes and communicate resolutions. So here's the matrix I was talking about. The BIM 360 model coordination matrix will put all of the models up against each other, and we can see that if we look at the HVAC on the left and on the top, if I'm going to compare it to the structural, I see that there's 30 clashes with HVAC and structural model, and here's a clash in between the mechanical model and the structural model, and you can get the information you need there. So I'm going to switch to the web browser. So here we have the model coordination in BIM 360. So we have all the different models in Revit here loaded, and we simply just go over to clashes, and then there's our matrix. When we upload our models to BIM 360, it automatically analyzes them and processes them and gives us this matrix. So as you update, you'll see these numbers change. I can go ahead and click on the 30 clashes here, and it will go ahead and load those models for me. And I was looking at, I believe, this one here, and I can take a look at that clash. I can look at another one. These are roof trains. Here's a round duct clashing with structural elements. And this is very powerful because you no longer have to use Navisworks Manage to run the clash tests and analysis. It's all an automated process, and it really saves you time. And more than that, the integration of Navisworks into Revit has really saved time. So there's two things going on here. We're really allowing contractors to communicate between each other and find resolutions without having to go to a meeting. So designers can update their model based on the feedback they get from BIM 360 model coordination. And if you have Navisworks files, you can do the same thing. You can load the Navisworks file into Revit, and then you're not modeling and guessing and checking. So bringing Navisworks into Revit now, you can link these Navisworks files into the Revit projects. It allows you to visually coordinate with other trades. It makes that much easier. You're no longer taking measurements in Navisworks and then moving things in Revit, guessing and checking, exporting the NWCs to see if you've moved far enough. It really speeds up the VDC and construction coordination process, having the ability to bring these NWCs into the Revit native work environment. So here's a little video. It's just a minute long, and I'm going to talk over it here. Now that we have Navisworks in Revit, you can see that it comes in a shaded texture. You're not able to object snap on it yet, but it is extremely helpful. It really does accelerate the process. So you're able to link in the NWD file there, and you can add other NWD files and set the positioning, and it will bring that in the right place. So you can set the path, whether it's relative or absolute, and it will bring in that Navisworks model and align it perfectly with your Revit model. It doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't do the wireframe. It's only shaded texture, but that's actually honestly how I would be looking at it when doing construction coordination modeling anyway. Now this video shows you two different buildings. When I use this, I'm looking at maybe mechanical equipment in the same space that we're running conduits or something like that. So very powerful tool. I really want everyone to know about that and start using that. So that brings me back to talking about BIM 360 design with the Revit cloud work sharing with the C4R technology that's now moved to BIM 360 on the document management platform. And I'm going to speak a little bit about this new feature called design collaboration. So for design collaboration, we now have the ability to aggregate different 3D models, not necessarily all Revit. You can bring in other file formats, and it allows you to track the progress over time and see how things have changed in the progress of the project. Very good for tracking changes between versions. And this is all done on the document management platform. So here's a shot of the BIM 360 docs. And we can bring in our Revit files. We can upload our Revit files to there. And we can also control permissions on a folder basis, which is a huge improvement now, because before we couldn't invite people to our BIM 360 project that we didn't want to have the ability to modify files. So that's what's allowing C4R to now come onto the document management platform. And here's the design collaboration module I was talking about with the timeline there, with the changes over time in the project, helping us visualize the things that have changed. So here we can see where things have been added, removed, or modified, and it's color-coded. It really visualizes what was a sometimes time-consuming process of figuring out what had changed. It simplifies that and makes it very clear. The design collaboration module can be found by pressing those 9 little dots up in the top left there. And you can see there's different features that are coming soon. Now the majority of these features, such as document management, design collaboration, model coordination, field management, insight, have all been released from Autodesk as of 10 days ago. And the last thing that is becoming very important in construction coordination process with the software is the Autodesk Desktop Connector. So this is allowing us to connect our cloud storage with our storage on our local machine. So this is going to be extremely important for the collaboration for Revit features that are going to be moved over to BIM 360. It allows us to catch files and load things quicker, and also have local files linked into the project, which will then be added to the cloud and then distributed to other team members using the desktop connector. So very important part of making these workflows work. And I just want to talk about some of the benefits of using these programs with the construction coordination process. So it provides a single source of truth. We're allowed to control the work sharing across teams. It's just faster and more efficient way to collaborate than the way we've done it in the past. It's reducing the costs and IT involvement. Really, the designer can handle everything directly from their desktop without needing the assistance of the IT department. It really does reduce rework, and it makes it very easy to track project progress and activity and see the differences between file versions. There's been some webinars done on BIM 360, and there's that powerful tool of seeing the difference between versions on 2D sheets as well as comparing the versions in a 3D model. So great features of BIM 360 that are very useful in the construction coordination process. And these tools are now allowing us to do design review that were only capable of being done with Navisworks Manage before. And it's streamlining this process of pre-construction coordination. It's putting the power back in the hands of the designer, and not only the coordinator who would merge the models and then run the tests. It's really enabling the designers to get immediate feedback on the changes that they make, and also see immediately the changes that other designers are making in other trade models. And of course, you can access your project data anywhere because you have your information in the cloud. So that's what I'd like to share today about construction coordination and some of the software that we're using today, and the workflows that were used and are going to be used on our next projects.